It's Yemi Bakayoko. Oh, yo. Samina mina. Edward Mende. Samina mina Sam Sadakte. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast. Last podcast of June. Matt made it through another month. But here we are. We are just about at the close of the FFP season. So Chelsea, a lot of sales. We'll be touching on that in this pod. But tonight you got myself, Andy, Comiskey North, and back as always, Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Doing good. Been an eventful couple days. Traveling with my wife and kid. So yeah, it's been good. Able to get some yard work in today. Fired up the grill. So made some stuffed pork chops, some stuffed chicken, and some salmon. So good stuff overall. Got to watch a little bit of the Gold Cup as well. Some of the matches that were on today. So overall, very successful day. Collins, how are you? I see that you're dressed up very nicely with a polo on.
Yeah, I went to church this morning and then just never changed.
Nice.
No, it was good. Finally back in my own house, which has been nice. Finally able to sleep. I'm not somebody who sleeps well in a bed that's not mine. And you'd think with the amount of travel I do for work that would have been something I adjust to, but it's not. So I'm happy to be home. But yeah, spent the weekend celebrating new job at work. So a lot of good times to be had.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. But like I said, we've got quite a bit of transfer talk to get into tonight. So we can talk about buying a new club. We can talk about sales. We can talk about purchases. Where do you want to start, Matt?
Let's talk about the big news with Strasbourg. I think that's kind of been the biggest thing in the news, aside from kind of the transfers that we knew were going to happen as far as players leaving. So let's kick it off with that.
Yeah, so it looks like the multi-club project has officially begun. Boley and Company, what is the name of the shell company they created? Blue Company or something like that.
Yeah, Blue Group or something.
Yeah,
not the Blue Man Group, but Blue Group or whatever it is.
Oh, now we need somebody to do a terrible Microsoft Paint picture of Todd Boley and Blue Man Group.
Yes.
But the group has completed a £65 million purchase of Liga 1 side Strasbourg, to which the Strasbourg Ultras were not thrilled. It was originally reported that they're going to be buying in at about 40%. It has been since confirmed that the deal is for, quote, nearly 100% of the Liga 1 outfit. So Strasbourg was apparently in no worry of financial issues. They weren't in too bad of debt, and were eager. President Mark Keller there was eager to get the deal done. And this was after Chelsea reportedly had logged interest in Lyon, Bordeaux, as well as some other clubs, but were turned away at all of them. So we now have a foothold in France. Matt, what are you making of that?
You got to start somewhere. I think we were talking about this a little bit pre-pod, but a newly promoted club. It's good ties, obviously the well-documented Chelsea loan army. We have a foothold now in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. So it's exciting. It gives with the influx of young players that we've had since Bully has taken over, it gives them a good opportunity to be able to develop them, have that relationship with another team that Chelsea owns, and be able to kind of move people out there and let them develop a little bit more, because they probably wouldn't get as much playing time in the Premier League. So I think it's good. I think it's the start of obviously a much bigger plan, but it starts with one team, and we'll see how things go. I know we've already talked, Datro Fofana, has some pretty strong links right now to being loaned out at Strasbourg. So it's just one piece to the giant puzzle that is the Bully conglomerate. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see everything kind of start falling into place and give these young players a chance to perform out there.
Yeah, and I think the important thing about specifically picking up Strasbourg in the Chelsea family here is that foothold in France. We've seen France has dominated world football, I would say. Not dominated, but been in the top 3 teams, I would say, in world football internationally for better part of a decade. We've seen a lot of young talent come through. The French team is still a very young team, and a lot of that starts in Ligue 1. And so getting that foothold here, having the Strasbourg Academy as well in there. And we've seen the investments that Boley and company, and even before Boley and Abramovich have made in Cobham. So if you can get similar investment there at Strasbourg, all of a sudden you're getting some top French youth internationals, coming to play for the club and coming into the pipeline. But like you said as well, with loans, a lot of these players that we sign who are either African or young French, young Swiss, any of those French speaking countries, now all of a sudden you don't have to culture shock them to bring them into Cobham to play for the U23s. You can have them go somewhere and speak their native tongue and get in the Chelsea system, play the same system. Exactly what Red Bull are doing, what City are doing with their global academies. And so I think it's a very important step. I know a lot of people are against the multi-club model, but at this point, there's not a lot you can do. City owns 13 clubs across the world. Red Bull owns 6. It's just that unfortunately, it's the way of the world, and it's something that we're going to have to do to keep up.
Yeah, well said. I mean, you want to compete with these teams, you got to kind of play ball like them, right? Somebody had to lead and others are going to follow. And now I think we're at a point where we can start following and start developing a similar pattern that seems to have brought a good amount of success to those teams. So yeah, I think it's, we're hopping on board a little early compared to, every other team and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, if we have the opportunity to do it, might as well try and capitalize on it and see if it can pay dividends for us.
And it's rumored that the next target of Blue Co is going to be Portugal's Rio Ave. Finished 12th last year in the Portuguese league. Obviously, Boley and company now very familiar with the way the Portuguese league works after dealing with Rui Costa at Benfica. But again, it's another great foothold to have. The Portuguese league is a great developmental league, and it's a place where you can send historically young South Americans to do well as tap into the Portuguese youth system. So overall, I think these moves are very positive. I think honestly the next move probably comes stateside here in the US. But I'd be interested to see whether that would be an MLS team, whether that would be USL Championship, USL League One. I'd imagine not League One, but it's got to be either MLS or USL Championship, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being MLS. It's hard to think that one player is gonna reset a lot of things for an entire league, but with Messi coming to MLS, that could be the catalyst, and that again might be something that we try to get in early on. You're seeing a lot of celebrities and big names get tied to teams, right? You got McConaughey with Austin, you got Will Ferrell with LAFC, things like that. So you bring the backing of Chelsea with an American as the figurehead of the whole thing. I think it does make sense for MLS to be the next step to help kind of promote the game. And especially when you think about the Gold Cup going on right now, CONCACAF Nations League, you'll have the Women's World Cup coming up. Then you have the 2026 World Cup joint between Canada, Mexico, and the US. I think it's all the more reason why the US would be kind of the next step for Bully and co to kind of get some things going. And the other thing is that the leagues play at different times, so you can have these players playing pretty much year round, and that's only gonna help their development and things like that. So it definitely makes sense to move stateside and look at investing in a team there.
So hear me out on a possibility here with MLS. Chicago Fire. They've been struggling for a very long time. There seems to be no real cohesion as to what they're doing. They've moved back and forth between Toyota Park and Soldier Field. Doesn't really seem to help their attendance, doesn't really seem to help their play. They went out and splashed the cash once on Xherdan Shaqiri. That was a bust of a move. So you got to wonder how into it the ownership group is there. So maybe you buy in at 51%, 49%, something like that, and then all of a sudden you've got a stakeholder in an MLS academy. You can recruit from Canada, US, and Mexico, and we already have the relationship from the Gaga Slonina deal. So I think Chicago is the ripest market to pick from, because you're not, Bowling Company are not going to pay an expansion fee in MLS. It's going to have to be an existing club.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. You talk about Shaqiri, Bastian Schweinsteiger back in his day was also a name that was playing for Chicago Fire. Yeah, I like it. Mainly because we're close to Chicago, so that definitely helps us. But yeah, it would be, and if I remember correctly, Chelsea's playing stateside in Chicago this summer. So
at the home of the Fire,
there are a lot of things kind of in place that would make that a very sensible decision.
Well, there we go. Maybe if we see Igbali or Bowley in the stands with oh god, I forgot the name of the Fire's owner, Mansudo, something like that. Maybe there's something going on there, so we'll see. Or maybe Don Garber.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I think a nice transition here will be to our external sales. We talked a little bit last week about the various Saudi sales. A couple of them have gone through now. We've seen Koulibaly's transfer finalized, announced by the club today. I believe Edouard Mendy is finishing his medical tomorrow. Ziyech is expected to complete this week. And who am I missing, Matt? One other one going to N'Golo Kante is done.
Yeah.
But that was a free, so that doesn't concern us anymore.
Yeah.
But outside of that, now it's rumors of who will go. We've got Kai Havertz supposedly finishing up his medical and paperwork with Arsenal. Mason Mount's transfer has seemingly fallen through at the moment. And we have various loan opportunities, including David Datra Fofana to Strasbourg. So any of those catch your eye, Matt?
For me, I think the Pulisic to Lyon, that's an interesting one for me. I think it would make sense. We get good value for him. If he does go out there, I think they're looking at 40 mil, and they've made him a top priority as far as signing. So I'm intrigued by that. Kai, I just want him to go. I don't care where, but just want him to go. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll definitely see more kind of unfolding once we get some of the dead weight done and off the books before FFP closes at the end of June. But I'm almost more excited to see what happens after. I'm excited for July and August to see what Chelsea are planning on doing.
And Fabrizio Romano did say this weekend that Chelsea have things in the works for a very, he said, surprising summer. But I think you're right. I think this is basically two separate transfer windows for Chelsea, pre-June 30th and post-June 30th. Up until the end of the month here, it's gonna be about balancing the books. And if you have to get a deal done because you fear it's going to fall apart after June 30th, then get it done. Like we saw with Nicholas Jackson, we saw other clubs being interested. We might see the same with Moises Caicedo if push comes to shove there. So it seems like that may be able to wait. But overall, I think we've done a great job kind of balancing the books here between Kovacic to City, which is apparently almost done, and Havertz to Arsenal. We're looking at about $110 million there, plus the sales to the Saudi clubs. So from what it looks like we may have balanced, for FFP purposes for this year, which is amazing. And we've been calling for them to cut deadwood for a long time. And now, it's not just those players who've been out on loan and they're like 28 years old. It's the legitimate deadwood on the squad being axed. So I got to tip my cap to Boley and all of the sporting directors, because they've done great so far, and we haven't even hit the full European open market yet.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree. They've done a great job of moving on deals quickly, right? We're not in this, waiting game for, 3 weeks to a month over one player, kind of like what we're seeing with, Arsenal and pretty much anybody they try to sign. It's taking a long time for all that stuff to work. I like it. We just come in, here's our offer, let's get it done. And it seems to be working. So I'm all in favor of it. Cut out the bullshit and just get right to business.
The one deal that seems to have snagged, though, is Mason Mount to Manchester United. Mason Mount's contract running down. This will be the last year of his contract. And just a brief timeline, just to fill everybody in, because I know people are coming in at different points of this story here. He had verbally agreed to a renewal under Roman Abramovich. Sanctions then hit. Abramovich was forced to sell the club. Boley told him to hold on, wait till everything was squared with the sale. Boley gave him a verbal offer similar to Reece James's. And then the World Cup hits and all the sporting directors come in. They reevaluate the club's financials. And from what it sounds like, the move now is going to be lower base salaries, higher incentives. The feeling, I guess, among the think tank was that there are too many bloated salaries in the club, which is perfectly understandable. Totally understand that. So in February, they send Mason a formal contract offer, much less base salary than what Boley had originally quoted. Mount turns it down. They offer him a 1-year contract, either to build up his value or to figure out, give themselves a little bit more time. Things have been silent since February. Now Manchester United swoop in. We are now 3 bids deep. Manchester United's recent offer, £50 million plus $5 million in incentives. Chelsea counter for 58 plus 7. Matt, I know that you have very strong feelings about people on this team. I don't know if Mason Mount is one of them, but how do you feel about how this saga has gone down here?
It's been interesting. It's been very enjoyable to kind of sit back and watch. I'm fine with him leaving. Even if he does go to United, I still don't think he's gonna play a ton. If you look at kind of their roster and who they have and stuff like that, I don't see him being a, first on the team sheet kind of guy. I could see him being more of like, that important player. He's always going to be on the bench. He might start a decent amount of games, but he's not going to be, yes, they need to be on the team sheet. Collins, you'll appreciate this reference. This is what Chelsea's doing is absolutely comical, because it is the equivalent of trying to buy somebody in FIFA when you're already over the asking price or their market value, and you add an extra $1. If you're paying like, let's say 80 mil, and you just pay 80 mil and $1. That's what it seems like Chelsea's doing right now to Man United, and I love it. Shithousery at the highest level. But you have to understand it from Chelsea's side. You're selling to a rival, one of your biggest rivals in the same league, and you want to get as much value for him as you can. We just heard the news that he is not going to re-sign. That was a few days ago. So, okay. And Man United was trying to use that as leverage. Yeah, we might come down a bit, but we're holding relatively strong for what we said we wanted for him. So I like it. I would be okay if Mason leaves. I think I was actually thinking about this today. He doesn't have Papa Frank to help him out anymore. And he's just too inconsistent, I think, to make that starting position his. When he's on, but when he's not, he is invisible out there. So it's just tough. But I hope the deal gets done. I hope United accept. We move forward. Mason can be happy getting out of Chelsea. We can get paid, and then we use it to bring in somebody else who will provide more value to the club.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me about all this is the kind of back and forth PR that we're getting from the club, from Man U, and from Mount's camp. And there are very specific people on Twitter who are in Mount's camp and like are friendly with his dad, who was his agent, and other people in the Mount family that just annoy the fuck out of me. Alex Goldberg mainly comes to mind there. But there's all the talk of, Mace wasn't given another contract offer. There was nothing for him to sign. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I understand that. But in the age that we are in, why have we heard nothing specifically from Mason Mount, direct from Mason Mount? Yeah, I would sign a new contract if it was there and it was a fair contract, fair market value, whatever you want to call it. But why not? Why not come out and say that? But he has been dead silent on all this. All we hear is that, he'll stay, but he's going to wind down his contract. or he wants to go. He's dead set on Man U. Matt, you know me. I love academy products. I'm very much like a promote from within kind of guy. But at some point, you have to stop romanticizing these players. You know, Mace has been at the club since he was 6. That's fine. But, you know, if you're not going to perform at a Chelsea level, if you're not going to, you know, especially when you're somebody who believes that they should have been the captain of this club, which Mace did and was public about to some of these people, as I was mentioning earlier, then you need to act like it. I think Reece James has handled this so much better than Mason Mount did. Now, granted, Reece James was smart and signed his contract before Abramovich left. But, you know, he's also somebody who has like specifically come out, and his parents have come out and said, like, he wants to be somebody where it's, you know, when I think Chelsea, I think Reece James. That's what I want. That's what I want. And if you don't want to be that, then fine. Get out, but don't hold the club hostage with 1 year left on your deal and then demand to go to a rival and then be pissed that we're not accepting a lowball offer. I'm done with Mace. Mace is in snake category to me. You can Thibaut Courtois, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put him at Thibaut level, but it's definitely, his actions have been questionable during this whole thing. I think he felt entitled, and that, you know, was most outstanding player when, what was it, 2018, 2019, when Frank, his first year. Like, yeah, that's cool, but that's because we couldn't bring anybody in and we had to play you every single game. Since then, like, we're bringing in new people, and I wouldn't say, I'm going to say this cautiously, and they're doing better than he's been doing. He has been more irrelevant than relevant whenever he's been on the pitch this past season. It's like you actually see the downfall when he's on the pitch, and that's tough, right? As somebody, you know, who we were big fans of early on when, you know, he first got a shot playing with the first team. Like, we were fans of him. We thought he was doing a great job and everything like that, and then you just saw the decline so quickly. And I don't know if that was a confidence thing, if he just got bored, you know, if just mentally he wasn't able to handle the sale, going through 4 different managers, like whatever the case is. But if you are a player that makes an impact and you want to be paid as one of the best players at the club, you need to perform like the best player at the club. He wasn't doing that. So why would we being Chelsea, why would we reward you with a higher salary when you're producing less? It doesn't make any sense. And to me, it's just kind of false entitlement.
Well, I think we've seen a change in playing style from Mace too, because you talk about those early years, like 3 years ago, under Frank, and you saw somebody who was, to use a modern comparison, like Timo Werner. He did all the little things you like to see. He hustled, he made tackles, made the extra pass when necessary, wasn't afraid to shoot, if it was open. And then he started winning those player of the years. And now, but granted, we didn't see Mace the last 5 weeks of the season, but from what I've seen out of him this season is that it's more of a me mentality. It's more of what stats can I pad in this game? Just erratic shots, unnecessary passes, looked lackadaisical in defense this year. So I don't know if that's, his mentality. I don't know if there's his agent or his family in his ear talking about, hey, you can boost your value, like score some goals, like, but it's not, it's not the, I hate this phrase now, but it's not the proper Chelsea that everybody thinks that Mason Mount is.
Yeah, he doesn't look hungry. Like, he doesn't look like he has any confidence in himself at all. Kind of like a shell of himself, which again, it's tough to watch it, but like this past season, we literally watched like his downfall, and it was ugly and it was quick. But maybe he gets a career resurgence somewhere, but right now it's just not cutting it. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine if and when the sale happens.
Yeah, and I think what cushions the blow a little bit more is that you have the Bundesliga Golden Boot winner coming in Christopher Nkunku, who plays in a very similar position to what Mason Mount does. Nice to see that transfer finally finalized. Nice to see him in a Chelsea jersey this week. And I know, last couple Bundesliga signings haven't been great, in Kai and Timo. But everything that I've read, everything I've seen watching Nkunku play for the French national team, very encouraging. And I think if we can find a proper number 9 to put in front of him, he's going to flourish.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like what I see out of him. Again, I'm still worried about the Bundesliga to Premier League transition. But yeah, I mean, if it can work, if we get the right pieces around, then I think he'll thrive with us and kind of where things need to be. So yeah, I think it's a great signing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table.
Another incoming that I want to talk about is Nicholas Jackson. His deal finalized today, Sunday. $37 million, a couple $1 million over his release clause, just so that we can pay it in installments. But he comes in after a stellar second half in La Liga, scoring 9 goals in the second half of the season, finishing out with 12. And recently played against Brazil in a friendly for Senegal. The only highlight I saw from him in that was a nice little penalty draw against the Brazilians. But he's 22 years old. Probably needs a little bit of development, but we've said this countless times on this pod before, and the more lottery tickets you buy, the higher the chance you have of one of these paying off. So I think Jackson will fit right in because we have no depth, but he also is a nice little lottery ticket.
Yeah, he's one of those that's not overpriced. You can take a flyer on him. So again, and he's young too. How old is he? 21?
22.
So he's 22. I mean, 37 mil. That's basically, he may work, he may not. We'll see what happens, but it's something that you're okay taking a flyer on. Yeah, if he needs to develop a little bit, so be it. Send him to Strasbourg with Datro Fofana and just let him tear some stuff up. But yeah, I like it. It gives us depth at a position where we need it. So I'm all for it.
Just a quick comparison with Kai Havertz going out the door here. Nicholas Jackson in just about 1,600 minutes in La Liga had 16 goal contributions, 12 goals, 4 assists. Kai Havertz in 2,600 minutes had a total of 8. So, take what you want for La Liga to Premier League comparisons, but just looking at it that way, it looks like an upgrade automatically.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, as we turn to July 1st and the rest of the European transfer windows open, Matt, is there anybody that you're keeping an eye on that you would like Chelsea to go after?
Realistically, yeah,
Anything is realistic under Todd Bowley.
yeah, pretty much. One of the things that I'm still kind of keeping an eye on is Dusan Vlahovic. I've heard murmurs about him and trying to maybe offload some people to Juve for him. I think he would be interesting to have. He's definitely a more physical striker presence than what we currently have, but he does have the technical ability to be able to finish. So he's somebody that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Just curious as to how that whole thing's going to play out, because, pretty much every team in Serie A is hurting financially. So they'll pretty much take whatever they can get. But yeah, he's one that I'm kind of keeping an eye on from afar.
I like Vlahovic. I forget consistently that he's still young, because he looks like he's about 35, but he's 23. The thing that worries me with him, and I don't watch a lot of Serie A, if I'm being perfectly honest, was that he put up similar numbers to Tammy Abraham in Serie A this year, and he signed originally from Fiorentina to Juve for what, like 80 mil, 70 mil, something like
70,
that.
I think.
So, I mean, he's at least got the experience of making a big, big money transfer, but not scoring so many goals in Serie A worries me, especially when, we see Lukaku scoring, not this year, but historically, 20, 25 goals in Serie A. But maybe, maybe a change of scenery would be nice for him. And 70, 80 mil for a broke club like Juve, I think that's almost an instant accept on their end.
Who's somebody you're keeping your eye on?
I still like Victor Osimhen from Napoli. I know that he's going to be tough to get. Napoli is historically very tough negotiators, but he has recently turned down a contract offer extension from them. But they want 150 mil. So he's also, I believe, 23. So, I mean, it comes down to, I guess, how much you're willing to pay. I would honestly take Vlahovic at, 70 to 80 mil over Osimhen at 150 mil. But if you come down to 100 mil, then I believe maybe the extra 20, 30 would be worth it. How about a number 6? You got a number 6 in mind? Or does Moises Caicedo do that for you?
Pick somebody. The one thing I talked to you about this a little bit earlier that I found kind of interesting is that I saw that United is talking to Adrian Rabiot on a free. Why aren't we making that kind of move? Even just putting a feeler out there. Somebody who has won a World Cup, played with PSG for God knows how long. So he's done a bunch of stuff there. He's proven at his position. And if going out and getting him on a free, why not? Why not at least put a feeler out there? So I don't know. I mean, we saw what Tonali went for to Newcastle. I don't know. They seem to be hard to find, but I don't know if Caicedo does that. I don't know if he, from what I've seen him do at Brighton, I don't know if he really fits that number 6, like to a T. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, to pull a name out of a hat at this point.
Yeah. I like you said, I don't think Caicedo fits that number 6 perfectly. But at the same time, is Poach can be running a system where it's just 2 midfielders, Enzo and Caicedo. I feel like we're looking at it or most Chelsea fans are looking at it through the lens of last year, than the formation we were playing last year. Coach may come out with a 4-3-3 for all we know. And then, maybe you're good with a Caicedo and Enzo and Gallagher, maybe, or an Andre Santos. So I don't know. I think he's a good player, but I'm not completely sold on him. Matt, you and I were looking at comps to him earlier before the pod started. Thiago was one of them listed. Nemanja Matic was listed on there. Overwhelmingly, I would say not favorable comps for a guy who, had a pretty good season last 365 days for Brighton.
Who
There
would
are
be
a couple.
the player that you're looking at?
What was that?
Who would be the player you're looking at?
I don't know for number 6. I mean, midfield in general, I think there's a couple good options out there. I didn't know about Rabiot. I would be intrigued by Rabiot. There's the guy for Celta Vigo in Spain, who everybody seems to be talking about. He's got like a $35 million release clause. Gabri Veiga. He's a 21-year-old who doesn't mind shooting from the midfield. And Lord knows we have not had a midfielder that can score a goal in 6 years.
We haven't had an attacker that can score a goal in about 2.
Also true. But if we're going to be the club that's consistently bringing in young talent, bring in another midfielder who can shoot. I'd trigger a $35 million release clause on him, bring him in. Man, I really would have liked Sandro Tonali though. I feel like we missed the ball on that one. He would have fit perfectly as a number 6. He's got international experience with Italy. Has played in the Champions League. And at $70 million or 70 million euros, I feel like that was not necessarily a steal, but one that Chelsea certainly could have forked some money over on. All right. Well, Matt, what about transfers around the world? Any other transfers? We talked a little bit about Tonali here. You talked about Rabiot. Any other transfers for other clubs that are kind of piquing your interest?
I haven't heard anything about James Ward-Prowse, and that is very interesting. Unless he is just saying, "I'm sticking with Southampton," just ride or die. But I'm surprised other teams haven't. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about him. I feel like he would be a very good addition to a lot of teams in the Premier League. I know Cho is apparently there are 6 bottom Premier League teams that are looking at Cho. I don't know what the asking price is going to be. I want to say it's around like 12 million pounds. Take him, just get him off the books. I don't know. There's no way in hell he's going to start over who we have. And trust me, that's not saying much, but there's no way he's going to crack that squad. Not a whole lot. I expected there to be more, but I think as all of Europe opens up in July, we'll start seeing a lot more news kind of flying all over the place.
Yeah, it kind of is surprising that a lot of these that are the relegated clubs we haven't seen much out of. James Maddison, all I've really seen is Spurs are interested. Southampton, obviously, Lavia is the big one that's been circulating. But yeah, nothing about Ward-Prowse. You figure he would have been kind of top of the list for a Premier League club. Even a somebody like Fulham, I figured would be interested in Ward-Prowse. Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of talent that got relegated this year. And so you'd figure Premier League clubs would be trying to snatch that up before the international market opens up. As we kind of a head start.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just surprised I haven't heard more, or even somebody like, a Wilfred Ndidi. Like, haven't heard anything about that. So yeah, I think that's kind of the big thing is like those relegated clubs in the Premier League. Haven't heard much about them or anybody really going anywhere. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out.
All right. Well, Matt, I want to spring a new idea on you here.
Okay.
So we have been doing the top 5 drafts, which
Yes.
we've been holding off on with Parker, dealing with moving and all that. But I've got a new idea I was thinking of on one of my final long drives for work. A 5-a-side themed every week. So
Okay.
5-a-side 80s action stars, 5-a-side US presidents. Anything you can think of.
Okay. I like it.
All right. So we'll start the inaugural one off here with you and I.
All right.
Let's go 5-a-side Marvel superheroes.
Oh. All right. I will let you take the first pick.
All right. Ooh, man. All right. You know what? I'm gonna go in goal, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just knocking shit out of the air with the webs, swinging all over the place. So my number 1 pick is gonna be Spider-Man.
All right. Do you have your Excel spreadsheet up?
Yeah. Let me pull it up here.
That is a really good pick for goal. All right. So for my center back, give me Hulk.
Oh, shit.
Good luck getting past him. That's all I have to say.
Touche. I like that. I like that pick. Antonio Rudiger back there.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. I think in my mid, I have to go Hawkeye. Got to have somebody with the vision. Not vision, but a distributor. So I'll go Hawkeye in the mid.
So in my mid, I'm gonna go with Captain America.
Ooh, okay.
He's gonna be kind of the heart and soul of that team. Good team player. Somebody that can rally the troops and get everybody on the same page. Lead by example kind of guy. So I'll put him in the mid.
Captain America played by Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, different Captain America.
I like it. All right. Man, I gotta rack my brain for Marvel stuff. All right. This is my forward. We'll go with Iron Man. You got to have a little selfish streak to you.
Yep.
Being a billionaire, we'll do that. So, Tony Stark and Iron Man was my forward.
Very solid man that definitely has an ego. It'll take him some time to adjust, but he can definitely be a team player when he needs to be.
Very, very Jamie Tart.
Yes, very, very much so. For my goalkeeper, give me Dr. Strange.
Ooh, okay.
You've got Hulk back there just bodying everybody. Dr. Strange, all the spells that he can do, nobody's getting in that goal. Just have a spell, block out the goal, nobody's getting in. Done deal.
Open a portal, ball goes in the other goal.
Yep. He's my goalkeeper and he's my forward.
There you go. Well, I'm going to go along similar lines here. in defense, we put Wanda Maximoff,
Oh, yeah.
Scarlet Witch.
Very nice. Very nice. A little chaotic at times, but you know, she gets the job done. Ooh. Don't know. All right. So for my midfielder, my second midfielder, give me Black Panther.
Solid.
Here as well, Captain America. He's got great speed, agility, vision, everything. Good strength, good hold up play. It's going to be a real good pairing in the midfield.
Oh man, my last midfield pick. I had an idea. And the idea was Ant-Man, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ant-Man.
Okay.
Little like Andrea Pirlo in the midfield.
I mean, he can play big or small. So, I mean,
Right.
That's definitely an advantage. So, all right. I need a forward. All right. So, for my forward, I'm actually going to take Black Widow.
That was my backup pick.
Just crafty. Blends in well to any environment, any surrounding. She'll be able to make those darting runs, and you know, her technical ability is just off the charts. So somebody that definitely studies the dark arts, she'll get her fair share of goals and assists along the way. So yep, Black Widow for me up top.
All right, we'll just run it back here. Matt took Doctor Strange in goal, Hulk in defense, Captain America and Black Panther as mids, and Black Widow as a forward. I had Spider-Man in goal, Scarlet Witch in defense, Hawkeye and Ant-Man in the mid, and Iron Man as a forward. Let us know who won this week's draft. I'll put up a poll. Search it on Twitter at FlagDownPod. And then Matt, we'll run the same rules where the winner gets to pick next week's 5-a-side theme.
Sounds good. Might be the first one I win.
Oh yeah, that's right. You didn't win one of the drafts.
Or the first one I don't lose.
Yeah, there you go.
You want to look at it.
Parker will still win.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, Matt, that pushes up against the hour here. Any closing thoughts?
It's bully season, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for it. He is manning the grill. We just wait and enjoy the feast that's going to be coming to Chelsea.
We're here for a good meal, good food. All right. Well, make sure to follow us on social media, as I mentioned earlier. You can follow us on Twitter at FlagDownPod. You can follow me at Comiskey North. You can follow Parker at DJ Parkour. Matt is not on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Google, etc. If you're on Spotify or Apple, please make sure to hit that 5-star rating. As always, if you have any questions that you want us to cover, any topics, if you want to let us know how shitty we are at these drafts, make sure to send us a DM, leave us a comment, tag us in a post. We read all that stuff. It's good stuff. So until next week, Matt, appreciate it as always.
Always a pleasure.
How do I stop this?